Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. here in New Vienna, Iowa. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, hump day, if you will, October 21st, 2020. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. It is actually a really nice sunny day today. It started out super chilly, super overcast, and it was one of those days where I was like, well, at least it's not windy or raining. But now it's actually turning into a nice day. Went outside to play with the dogs and the kids during their lunchtime recess, and it wasn't bad. It was actually kind of nice. I did step in dog poop today, so there's that. But it's my own fault because I'm the one that's supposed to pick it up. I mean, I don't pick up all the dog poop. My father-in-law picks up, and my mother-in-law, but mostly my father-in-law picks up all the dog poop from the bigger dog, which I'm pretty happy about because I'm used to small dog poop. When I see big dog poop, it's kind of distressing. But I slept in the small dog's poop and my dog's poop a little bit today. So those shoes are hanging out outside, letting those mellow out for a little bit. But that's been my day. I guess I could say if stepping in dog poop is the worst thing that happens to me today, it's not that bad of a day. Let's see who else is here. We got Roadrunner Reviews here. Alan Cabanemi coming in from Paris. Awesome. Very cool. Thanks for staying up. Maybe you're not staying up, but 9 p.m. for me is staying up. Chris Yao says, woke up from an old man nap in the afternoon. Let me tell you what, I kind of took an old man nap today too. But you know what? My Whoop has been telling me every day that I need to take a nap. So I'm just listening to Whoop advice. This wearable device that is not really a wearable. It's a wearable, you wear it, but it's not, there's no screen on it, But it told me to take a nap. I fell asleep in the recliner chair. The dog is not usually allowed on the furniture, but when I kick the legs up on it, I let him sit where in between my shins kind of, and he's really warm. So we both kind of fell asleep. And yeah, so there was that. It wasn't a long nap, maybe 10 minutes, but one of those naps where you're like, oh, I better not sleep too late, otherwise I'm gonna miss out on stuff I gotta do. But my daughter was in her virtual school, and the baby was playing on her own. She was painting though, so I probably should have been watching her a little bit better. But no paint accidents, so it worked out today. KCA says, good afternoon. Oh, I forgot. We're going back to this normal thing. Well, this is not normal. We got this thing here. I think I'm going to pay for the subscription because I don't like this. And the resolution for this is maxed out at 1280. So not HD. I don't know if that makes a huge difference, but I like this enough that, I want to get rid of that, put some different labeling on it, and then, use it a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe I'll investigate some other options as well, but I do like being able to put, people's names to faces over here, in the bottom lower left-hand corner. So that's kind of nice. So I like it. Frank Lawler says, I need an old man nap. It's a good thing. I'm a big fan of naps. I guess I've only wanted them when I was older, but they're good. They're so good. My kids were always really bad at napping. They would only nap for other people. They would nap at daycare fine. But even on a day off, if there was a Monday off or a Friday off, a long weekend, and we try to keep them on the same schedule, they just wouldn't, because when they knew when we were trying to put them down, they wouldn't nap. They knew that they could outlast us. So they just kept fighting it until we gave up. But every time I'd be like, let's just take a nap together. We'll both take it. How about that? We both take a nap. Well, you'll lay down, I'll lay down. We'll both just take a nap. They never took the bait. Sometimes I would fall asleep and take a nap, and they would just keep playing quietly in the corner. But I do love naps. Yeah. All right, let's see. Martha's here. Good to see you, Martha. Let's see, what do we got? Steve is here. Says, yo, hi all. What's going on, Steve? I like the picture there. Not really. Hank Aaron says, take naps, not drinks. Yeah. Let's see. Not really. Hank Aaron says he wants it as in 4K. Well, here's the thing. I hook this camera up to a little HDMI to USB kind of converter, and that thing only maxes out at 1080, I think. So this camera is actually putting out a 4K image, but in the transition from camera to computer, it's going down to 1080. And I feel like my internet can't really handle more than 1080. So I'm happy with 1080. for like the streams here. So yeah. Yeah, Matt saying I wish I could get in a daily nap. Yeah, I mean I don't get in a daily nap, Matt, for sure. When it does happen, it's really, really nice. Yeah. Let's see where there's another one. Matthew Cable says, "Hi, what's your take on the Asian representation in the running community, specifically from the Chicagoland area? Example, going to large world majors and marathons." I feel like I feel like the larger the event, the more Asians you see, and so in terms of like world marathon majors, there's usually very large contingents of people that are traveling from all over Asia to come to. My experience in terms of world majors is the Chicago Marathon. I don't know any of the other ones, so like I feel like there's a lot of people there. I mean, it's far, so given the distance and like the financial and time commitment it would take to come over here, like halfway around the world to run a marathon, I think that is pretty impressive. As far as like Asian Americans, there's some, but I don't think that like I don't know if there's a lot of Asian Americans running. I mean, here's the other thing. Like on the other hand, the way to look at it is like there's already like. I mean, I'm not to put myself in the same category as like Billy Yang, but like Billy Yang's been making like really fantastic running videos and movies for a long time. And so like, he's kind of like got like the ultra community, like not covered, and not to say that like one dude is enough, but it's I can't really say like there's no Asian faces in running YouTube or even in running, because there are Asian faces that are out there. So I feel like there's representation in that respect, in like a media aspect. But I was looking up a whole bunch of ultra races in the area, trying to see if I can find like a 50 miler sometime in the next like half year around here. And there's a handful of events. There was actually a 100-mile race in this county last weekend. I didn't know that. But like when I'm looking through all like the photos of those events and stuff, there's not Asian people. Actually, on the one that was here this last weekend, there's one in Indiana that you guys told me about last time. I looked that one up. There's a guy that comes up from Lyle, or goes down from Lyle, it seems like regularly. And so like there's like one Asian guy there. But then again, those events are like 50 people large. So it's not like, I mean, it's just too small a sample set to say whether that's representative or not. So, I'd love to see more Asian and Asian American participation in running. One of the things that I kind of was like hoping for, and I never really pushed him on it, but my brother-in-law is very involved. My sister's husband is very involved in their church, and he's Korean. But the churches, they don't go to like a Korean church, but for a while he had like, as part of his like men's group that he was in, they were getting together to do more like this, like exercising and stuff. And like he was starting to like get like a regular run group together. And I thought things like that were pretty cool. And I would have liked to have seen that. I probably should have checked in with him more often to see how that was going and tried to, support however I could have in that regard. But, so that was a really long-winded answer. I'm not sure I addressed whatever your concern was, Matt. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I don't think that there is as much I don't think there's as much of an issue in terms of Asian representation like other minority groups might see. And so it's a little bit different. Asians tend to fly under the discrimination radar a little bit easier than other groups. I mean, that's not always the case, but it has been the case for a lot of things. Taco Chef is here, says, yo, what's going on, Taco Chef? Awesome. M. Gruner says, need help. What's the best everyday easy training shoe? 1080 V10, Endorphin Speed, Hyperion Tempo. I'd say of those, the 1080 V10 is probably your best bet. I'm not sure that the Endorphin Speed is the best everyday shoe. It can be used every day. I'd say I'd be more inclined to use that every day than the Hyperion Tempo. I just don't think the Hyperion Tempo is an everyday shoe. I mean, I guess it depends on what like your everyday kind of pace is, but for most people, I wouldn't choose it. But I would think of like if you're looking at New Balance, like look at the Beacon as well. If you're looking at Hoka, I would look at like the Clifton. If you're looking at Nike, I'd look at the Pegasus. So like those, the ones that are like kind of like the most popular one that kind of pops up, that's usually like the daily trainer. It's a little bit more versatile. It's kind of has more range in terms of things that it can do. And that's where, I usually kind of look at for like easy everyday training shoes. But when you say, best everyday easy training, then, things like the 1080 V10, which are a little bit more cushioned, then I think definitely make a little bit more sense. And like the Triumph 18 from Saucony also would be a good one to look at. All right, Kevin, where would it go? Kevin. Oh man, I'm real far behind today. Kevin Scott giving a little, live long and prosper. I didn't know that was an emoji. Cool. David Sachs gives a little wave. What's going on, man? Shaun Marshall asks, is that a Tracksmith shirt? No, this is a Mizuno shirt. This is a Mizuno shirt that I got like on Amazon for like $20. I love it because I love this pattern that goes on the sleeves. I just love it. And then this up here, I just feel like it's a great shirt. It's really warm. It's a little bit thicker of my long sleeve shirts. I can get through a lot of winter with this and like a vest. So I'm a big fan of it. And I've been wanting to buy more colors of it, but it's like an older shirt. And the price fluctuates wildly on Amazon. Sometimes it's like, I've never seen it at the price that I got it at, but I've seen it at like $60 to $80 at this point. And I'm like, oh, that's quite a bit more than I originally paid for it. It's a little bit older though. So that's probably why, but I don't know. I've been looking at some of the other Mizuno like winter and fall stuff, and I haven't seen like a lot of stuff that I'm really loving. Chris says we need to see the mustache in 4K. Well, I mean, you do get to see the mustache in 4K on like the regular videos. So I've been making some more of the videos in 4K, upscaling the 2.7 K footage that I'm getting from the GoPro, and then this talking part that's in the regular videos, that's shot natively in 4K. So you're getting 4K mustache. Here's one thing that I've noticed lately. It's getting colder now, and I've not run with the mustache in cold weather before. And right now it's at the point where like I could, put the neck gaiter over my face to keep a little bit warmer, or I can maybe get away without it. And today I didn't have it on. But what I think is happening is a lot of moisture is like condensating right on the mustache and then dripping down. Because by the end of the run, I felt like I had like two trails of like wetness along my shirt. It wasn't like from a runny nose, that I know. So I'm like, I think that's like sweat. And like I kept feeling like drops on my face, and I'm like, is this about to start raining? But I think it's just like our moisture is like collecting in the mustache, and then like, like moisture does, it condenses and gets bigger, and then it has to, go somewhere. And so that was an unusual experience for me today. Oh man, Scotty B says 6.5 inches of snow yesterday. Careful speed work today. And first time in a Speed Go 4. Cool. Well, I think you've got a good shoe for it today. And yeah, I am in Iowa. Everyone's like talking. Well, I say everyone in Iowa. I know I know some people here, but my circle is like my mother-in-law and father-in-law. But they call their relatives and stuff too. So I'm getting like a gauge of the Iowan response, or at least the East Iowa response. Everyone's like, they can keep that snow up there in Minnesota. We don't want none of that here yet. So it's been pretty funny. But my daughter loves snow. She's like, I don't want that much snow. So that's funny. Matt Legrand says, does YouTube do live stuff at 4K? I thought it was 720 or 1080. Seems like that when you do a premiere for YouTube videos, the quality is always lacking. I thought that you could upload to 4K. I mean, like stream at 4K. I could be wrong. To be honest, I've never really looked at it because I have a little cam link thing, and that thing only goes to 1080 anyway. And I've always been concerned about upload bandwidth, so I've never really looked into it, to be honest. Ben Eng says, anyone have any opinions on Tread Labs insoles? I'm not familiar with those, so I don't. But maybe I'm sure someone else here has tried them. All right, let's see. Not really. Hank Aaron says, is Sage Candidate Asian? Yes, he's half, I believe. I think he's half Asian, right? Am I wrong on that? But I think he is. Arnold Ellis says, my next race is a 10-mile race. I saw you did a Memorial Day 10-mile race for like 2-3 years straight. And he tips on running a 10-miler. Such an awkward distance. It is a weird distance. And I like, that's one of the things that I love about the Stride Foot Pod. Not to like, it's not non-spawn plug, but because then I just plug in the distance and it tells me like, here's the power number you should race at. So that's what I did when I did an 8K, because I've never raced an 8K before. So when I did the time trial, I've done an 8K. I've done one. I did one at the Shamrock Shuffle like two years ago, I think, in Chicago. That's an 8K. And so when I did one recently, I was like, I'm just going to put it into the like pace calculator and it'll tell me what to do. But as far as tips, I mean, it's pretty much like a half marathon. That's kind of like my approach to it. So your pacing is going to be a little bit faster than that. If you think about it, it's right in between a 10K and a half. So you can kind of, it's basically like you're not quite going, you're pretty close. I mean, it depends on what your speed is. For me, it's a little bit slower than threshold pace, is kind of how I paced it out. And then I did it so that I had two kind of like sections of refueling. So like at the 3-mile mark or like 4-mile mark and like 7-mile mark is when I took like a gel just to, probably can get away without it. Probably can get away with one, but I was like, well, it feels like a little bit longer of a race. So let's do it. So that's kind of how I've done that one. But that race though is the Soldier Field 10-mile. That is, I really enjoy that race. And it was a real bummer that this year it went virtual, and then I didn't do it. So I was like, man, I felt bad about it. But I do really enjoy that race quite a bit. Let's see what else we got here. Mark says, maybe there's just not a lot of Asian Americans into running. I know for me growing up, it wasn't very popular. Yeah, I mean, I think though, like, there aren't, I've not run into a lot of people. I don't know all the Asians. I know some of them. But like, I don't know anyone who like grew up and was like, yeah, my dad was like a big runner, or like my mom was like super into running growing up. So when we spent a lot of weekends like watching her race, like that's not a story. But like I listen to podcasts and people are like, the people that they're interviewing are like, oh yeah, both my parents were avid runners, and we'd spend our time, or we'd like schedule our like vacations around their races and stuff like that. Like that just isn't. That isn't like a common immigrant narrative, so like that's I think part of it. And I would say probably for most Asian American males, like boys, they probably grew up and probably still are like watching the NBA like crazy. Like that was just, I don't know, we all love basketball for some reason. And so I was hugely into it. I also think that like the 90s was like a like a golden age for basketball. Maybe I'm biased because that's when I was most into it, but I just think it was a fantastic time for it. I think the sport had reached like a certain level of maturity at that point. Not that like the age of like Magic and Larry weren't great, but I think in terms of like its reach from like a public, like public, not broadcasting, but like in terms of the viewership, I think got to a certain level. And I think like for professional football got to that much later, maybe like a decade or so later. I don't know. So I think that part of it, that's part of it too, is that like there just wasn't a lot of like, I didn't see it, like I know the Korean word for basketball, I know the Korean word for running, but I don't know the Korean word for track, so I think that's just like an example. All right. Let's see. All right, Martha says, Kofuzi, there's a gal who is now 70, who's Korean American, is probably the fastest marathoner in her age group in the country. Jeannie Rice. Lots of articles about her. I'm going to have to look that up. That's cool. That's super awesome. Terrence Hui says, Chinese American here. When I told my dad I was doing a half in 2018, his first, he was freaked out and I said I could die. That's funny. That's so funny. Did your dad go to your race and watch it, or he was like, I don't know, this might be the last time I see Terrence. So man, that's so funny. Here's the thing though about that. is the reason why I ran my first half marathon and first marathon was because of my dad, though, because he started running later in life, like in his late 50s. And he was telling me that he's been running a lot and he's going to run a marathon. So that's why I was like, oh, I think I should do that too. So that's kind of how I got into it. Shaun Marshall, switching over to Halloween, says, you into scary movies? I saw Scream for the first time. He says, I know, I'm 33 this weekend. I don't like scary movies at all, but I have seen Scream. I like that. I like Scary Movie better than I like Scream, but I also did like Scream as well. It was a good one. It wasn't like too like terrifying. But yeah, I did like that one. That was good. Darren said, my dad didn't watch his half marathon. I didn't even tell him about my marathon when I signed up. That's really funny. He said he's just afraid that I pushed myself too hard and my heart would stop working. Well, it's coming from a place of love. That's for sure. Leona Wong said, I met Jeannie Rice's running partner last year before the Berlin Marathon. Oh, that's awesome. So cool. That's funny. That's awesome. Yeah. And Jeff Elliott says Scream was so much fun. It was fun when it came out because I felt like it was like a new kind of horror movie. Because it poked fun at itself. And so it was a scary movie, but it wasn't at the same time, And so that made it like really different. It felt like it was I can't remember how old I was at the time, but it felt like it was the just right level of scary for like people. Like it was like, this is a movie for me, So I felt like, oh, pretty cool about that one. Yeah. Ben Hang said he had to get Ben Hang got checked out by a cardiologist to stop his folks from freaking out. That's funny. Oh my, you guys are funny. You guys are hilarious. And Terrence, he says, you are a more loyal son than I. Oh man, that's really funny. Liz Becerra then going to I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah, I saw that one. So like, here's how I remember like there wasn't a trilogy, but there was like a sequence of movies. And it went from like, oh, this is interesting. This might be like not genre creating, but like straddling genres in an interesting way. It went from that to like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then Final Destination. Am I getting the order mixed up on that? And those like these like teen horror movies. And then it just got really bad. And then like Scream 2. And then like I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And then Final Destination 2. Like there was a weird tagline to that movie. It was like Final Destination 2, The Last Stop or something dumb. But yeah. Yeah. And Shaun Marshall says, in my assessment, Scream was the first postmodern scary movie. Is that the right word? Is that what postmodern means? I never know what people mean when they say postmodern. But yeah, I think I know I think I understand the context there. But yeah, but I think that it also like, yeah, engendered all those other movies like I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was interesting, but like not like scary, but more like, I guess it was scary, but more like a thriller, I don't know. Is there a difference? I don't know. Maybe I'm splitting hairs. Here coming from Matt. Matt says, my parents sat me down and told me I wouldn't be able to do a marathon until I was 18. It was weird. I told them I had no desire to do a marathon. I think they read me wrong back in high school. Really? So you weren't even like, so this, like, so how does that conversation go? Your parents are like, Matt, come here, sit down. We want to talk to you. Hey, while you're living in my house, you are not going to run or train for a marathon. And that's final. Like, is that how it goes? And you're just like, I'm not even going to run a marathon. That's weird. Yeah, and that's got to be coming from a place of love too. But that's an interesting, like, of all like what do you think have you talked to your parents about this conversation like since like then? Because like it's like of all like the weird parenting like sit down son kind of conversations you thought you'd have, did you think like no marathoning would be one of them? Like, is that a bad thing though? Like, I met someone at the Chicago Marathon Expo. I think it was 2 years ago now, and he was like, yeah, our coach won't let us train for a marathon. I'm like, really? How old are you? And he was like 16 or 15 or something like that. I'm like, oh, I think that makes sense. I'm like, that probably makes sense. I've not really thought about it that much. I know that like 13 seems a bit young, but you know, I know that some kids have done it. It does seem like a lot though. Um, but I mean, you know, in other sports, 13 years old, kids are dunking basketballs. So I mean, like, you know, just maybe it just seems young to me in my mind, but it's interesting. Matt says it was a weird conversation. I was a big time runner, and I think they just thought it was something I would want to do, and it would stunt his growth. Okay, all right. You should ask them, like, was that if that was the weirdest like parenting conversation that they've had to have? Because not because it's like a horrible one, because I'm sure there's more awkward and difficult ones in the world of parenting conversations to have, but in terms of like, probably didn't see that one coming. And Matt says he did his first marathon at 21. Well, you know. We were talking earlier about loyal sons. That's being a good, loyal, filial son. Good work, Matt. Let's see. Danny J says, I don't know about running marathons as a use, but I know weightlifting as a use is dangerous to the natural growth. I can't see running as being detrimental to a kid's health. Yeah, I've always thought that the weightlifting was bad. It was supposed to be bad for like your growth plates or something like that. And so that was supposed to stunt your growth, as it was like caffeine, which I'm drinking now. Not that I'm worried about stunting growth at 40. But like, as far as the running being detrimental, my only concern wouldn't be like bone development. My concern would be like burning a kid out too soon. You know, just putting a lot more miles. Like I think that when you're younger, your body can absorb like a quick ramp up from like lower mileage to just like high level intensity and high mileage. But I also think that could like make you very susceptible to injury. So that would be like my concern there. But also, you know, I don't know, like my daughter's 8. At like age 10, would I feel comfortable putting her in a half marathon? I mean, I suppose if she like really wanted to and she were like training, I guess, or like just enjoyed running, you know, but for now she just likes to be active as a kid. And I think that's enough, but I don't know. Yeah. And someone was saying something about younger marathons. Oh, Danny says kids in Kenya probably run those distances barefoot every Sunday. I mean, I think, yeah. So it depends on like what you're normally doing too, you know? Yeah. Let's see. Remy's here. Good to see you. Mr. Random's here as well. Good to see you guys. Yeah. Mark says, I should have lifted weights as a youth. Probably would have helped my social status. I did lift weights a little bit in high school because I was like a pole vaulter. And so like upper body strength was a little bit more important. I'm not sure I was all that great at it. And it didn't help my social status, let me tell you that. So there's that. I don't think it stunted my growth either, though. Let's see. Bert, I guess. Dad saying, what could possibly go wrong? Famous last words. That's funny. Awesome. Daniel M., going back to the scary movie, says, I would agree Scream was the first postmodern horror movie. Nothing earlier comes to my mind. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of like what else was like in that like ilk of like scary movies that weren't like, I mean, we've gone back to the slasher, right? Because then there's like the Saw movies and like The Ring and like all the ones. There's so many of them right now with like scary dolls or like poltergeist type children living in a house, right? There's like all those weird ones, which I just don't care for, like the spirit, like supernatural kind. Yeah. So like this one was different in that it wasn't so like supernatural or like that kind of horror based. Yeah. But I remember around that time though, this was like also around the time of Blair Witch Project, which is a movie I still haven't seen. But at that time I got into a couple of like based on a true story, like horror books, and those terrified me. I can't remember which ones it was, but one of the things that like there was this like haunted house or something like that, and the bolt on the door kept like locking itself all the time, And for whatever reason, that terrified me. And so like, I don't know if like to this, I don't really care to this day anymore, but I'm just generally really bad about locking the door. So I don't know, maybe those things are related. I've never really thought or put those two things together before, but I don't know. I have no idea. Mark Stalwart says, "You're my motivation to start running my mile every day." Awesome, Mark. I hope your running is going well. Thanks so much. And thanks for tuning in today. Yeah. All right, let's see what we got here at the bottom. Let's see. Frank Lahullier says, Nightmare on Elm Street is postmodern. Is it? I've never seen any of those movies. I've never seen a Halloween movie, and I've never seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I'm just not interested. Again, I don't like to be scared. It frustrates me. Like, not scared as in like I'm like scared, like fearful, but like the like that tension that they always build, that just annoys me. Shaun Marshall says the 80s didn't need scary movies because the Reagan era was scary enough. That's interesting. KCA says Blair Witch was my favorite of all time. Oh, I mean, maybe I'll have to. I feel like that one deserves a watch because like the format was very different too. So I think that's interesting. Yeah. All right, let's go. Leona's got a math running question. To maintain low heart rate, better to zombie run the whole time or to run walk combo to stay under math? I will say if you can zombie run it or just like run it really slow, I think that's better. Because then it's more consistently staying like close to that math number. And I feel like spending a lot of time there is what helps you, like, but not spending a lot of time going over is what helps you progress. That's my hypothesis on it. I think that if you're doing a lot of the run walking, what that probably means is you're dipping above and then you're like, oop, I got to correct. And then walking a little bit until it gets back below your math number. And then you're like, okay, time to run again. And you're going way up and then, oop, and then you're going back down. I think like that going up and down, like straddling your math number is not as good as staying really close. I'm sorry, hit the microphone. I think it's not as good as staying really close to it. That's my take. That's my take on it. Martha says, I can't watch scary movies. They keep me awake afterwards, even the super fake ones. Yeah, that I kind of get that too. Jeff Light says, Cabin in the Woods was another fun send-up of horror movies made by people that love horror movies. Interesting. I've never seen that one. All right, Robert Morano says, looking for some headlamp advice for trail running in the dark. Petzl Tikka 300 versus Black Diamond. Can I find a decent comparison between the two? Anything that should sway my decision or look at others? You know, I'm not a huge headlamp guy. I have them. I don't like running in the dark, but so I have one like reluctantly because sometimes I wear it most of the time. So that way there's something flickering when I'm around here in case there's hunters around. So like it's kind of like my like hunter orange kind of thing because they're going to be so bright. So it would stick out kind of differently. But I just generally, I buy generic brands. And so like my runs aren't long enough that I really need one that I know can last like 8 hours or anything like that. I really usually only need it to last me for like 30 minutes. And then the rest of the time, like the sun is up by then or up enough usually. So I'm not too concerned about it. So I'm probably not the best person to ask, but I have a couple that I bought on Amazon. I like ones that are micro USB rechargeable. Again, I think if I were looking to do like 100-mile race, I'd probably want one that has replaceable batteries that I could just toss in and not have to worry about like charging with like a power bank. But that one that I have, I don't even know the name of it. But it's just generic. It's super high lumens, so it's really, really bright. And that's pretty much all I care about. And I have a couple of them because I tend to break them. I've had Nathan ones before too. I break those just as easily. I don't know if I'm just manhandling them or something. I'm not sure. All right. Daniel M. Where'd it go? Says Scream wasn't exactly comedy horror. It was just very self-referential of the genre attempted to comment on horror conventions and tropes. Yeah, I mean, isn't that how comedy horror works? I kind of thought that's what it did. Like it made fun of itself. But I'm not. I'm a like an outsider when it comes to this genre. So I admit that I don't understand the nuance. Philip Barnes says, I think on Halloween I'll pick up a few movie recommendations from today and afterwards head for a run in the dark forest. My heart attack is on you, Philip. we're going to need some of those Asian dads to sit you down, Philip, and be like, watch out. We're very concerned. Or maybe Matt Legrand's parents too. Like, let's sit down. We're worried that your heart is going to fail. So we don't want you to go on that run. So we need like an Asian dad or just generally a dad intervention here. Hey, Shannon, what's going on? Good to see you. She says, yo, I'm late. Story of my life. Couldn't handle the thought of missing another stream. Yesterday's was a trip. Oh, good to see you. Glad you're here. Better late than never for sure. Mark Jankogo said the Nightmare on Elm Street ones messed me up for years. Yeah, I mean, maybe I need to go back and watch one, but I feel like it would really terrify me. Let's see. Jeff Elliott says, I love really well done suspense. Yeah, I think I could understand that. And it says, not into horror movies, but I love watching Scandi Noir. The Bridge is the best TV I've seen. I'm not familiar with that at all. I'm going to have to look that up. Scandi Noir. All right. Jody says, Lucy Bartholomew was running 100K ultras at 15 or 16. I think the age thing is just people holding back unnecessarily. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool. I can't imagine like a 15-year-old having the resolve. Like I don't think I've ever met a 15-year-old that's like that can like train for 100K ultra. But I mean, at 15, maybe your body just is like soaks it up and is like, all right, whatever. I don't know. But I think Jody says, I think the age thing is just people holding back unnecessarily. Yeah, I think so. But I think also at like 15 or 16, like, I don't know. Do I have to be worried about that? Do you have to be worried? Like if you were I'm not a race director. I don't have any desire to be a race director. It seems like all the things I wouldn't like put together in a running context. But like organizing people, being extremely detail oriented about coordinating other people that are somewhat under your control. Like anyway, there's just a lot of things I wouldn't like about race directing. But like, would you have to be concerned about like, is this kid really here or this young adult really here because they want to be here? Or do they have like a coach or a parent that's pushing them? But wouldn't that situation also apply to a 20-year-old? It could just as well. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just an arbitrary thing we don't need to worry about. Maybe like the difficulty of the task is a filter enough to keep people that shouldn't be doing it out. I don't know. I suppose generally I'd be more for being inclusive rather than having kind of barriers to entry. Yeah. Shannon says, I thought Blair Witch was real when I saw it in high school, and I slept with the lights on that night. Oh, really? Interesting. That's funny. Danny J says, Jaws is still the scariest movie of all time. The bathtub was suspect until I was like 12. Oh, that's funny. That movie did scare me as well. Yeah. The shark looked so real. At least at the time it did. Now, like when you go back and look at it, you're like, oh, what? This isn't the movie that I remember. It's just weird the way things looked. Reality, I guess, or looking realistic is subjective. It's a product of the time. Shaun Moore says, we need any script writers in here. We need a movie about runners who get spooked while stopping for a break in the corn. That could be it, like the ghost of angry farmers past, maybe. It's funny. And it says Scottish dads are just as bad. My dad thinks I'm overdoing it if my face gets a bit red running. He thinks I'm going to have a stroke. If only he knew the miles I've done, 51, and he still worries. Oh, that's amazing. That's lovely. It's lovely that he still worries about you. That's great. But also pretty fun. Yeah. Does he worry about the dog too? What do you think about the dog doing all the running? Yeah, Derek Dixon says, as far as 15 or 16 years old are concerned, he goes, pretty sure that's what the waiver is for. Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Stevie76 says, I vote for Pet Cemetery. Yeah, Stephen King. That's another one that I haven't watched, but I think that I would not be able to watch that. I mean, only until very recently, probably until my late 30s, have I not been like spooked just being by a cemetery. Um, I no longer kind of get that weird sensation, but like deep into my 30s, I was just like, oh, this is a cemetery. We probably shouldn't make too much noise while we're by here. It's kind of one of those things. Does anyone else get that? Is that just me? Yeah, that's a true story. Michael Reyes says, Hocus clipped in 7 for gravel roads and dirt roads. Yeah, I think you can definitely do it because like the outsole tread pattern, there's a little bit of rubber on the outsole strategically placed, but the way that the EVA foam is designed, it's almost like lugs. So I definitely think that you can use the Clifton 7 there. Other one that I would also really like if you're looking at Hoka is the Torrent 2. I like that one as well. It's a little bit more, it's trail oriented. It's like a trail / road shoe. So that's another one you could look at if you don't think the Hoka 7, Clifton 7 can do it. But the Clifton 7 can certainly handle it. Yeah. All right. Shaun Marshall says, okay, picture this. Setting is 1970s Eugene, Oregon, pre-Fontaine era. Runners serially haunted in the hills of Oregon on their runs. Bill Bowerman saves the day with a waffle iron. Yeah. I mean, here the final scene would be like, step on this, right? And he's like got a waffle iron, kind of like in Tangled, iron skillet. Who knew? Kind of thing. That'd be funny. That'd be weird, but funny. Bill Bowerman. I mean, it's almost as weird. It would be almost as weird of an idea. Like, would you just call it Bowerman? Because remember the Lincoln? Like, what was that movie? Lincoln, was this a real movie? I don't even know if it was a real movie or just like a spoof trailer, where like Lincoln was like a vampire. Like Abraham Lincoln was a vampire hunter. That was a real movie, wasn't it? I mean, it was one of those horror comedy movies, but like, yeah, but like instead of Lincoln being the vampire hunter, Bowerman is like the. I feel like if it's Eugene, Oregon, it's got to be werewolves, right? So that's what I would say. Jeff Elliott says Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter was a real movie. Did anyone see that? I mean, is it good? I mean, I don't know. Danny J says it was as real as Sharknado. That's so funny. Daniel M says, picture it, Sage Kennedy hunted by woodland creatures during an ultra. They don't know he's a vegetarian. That's so funny. I love it when he says that. I find myself like, I don't ever say it out loud, but I think it to myself as I see like the cows, and sometimes horses, but mostly I see cows. Sometimes I see deer out here as I'm running. And I'm like, don't worry, I'm a vegetarian. I say the same thing. Oh, that's funny. Danny J says, speaking of cemeteries, I wonder how many people died with wasted potential because a horror movie gave them a complex. I could be a great diver, but thanks to Jaws, probably not going to happen. Yeah, do you think that though? But I feel like, if that was like your thing that you were good at, I think that you would have like the universe would have found a way to like get you to the right spot. Jody, bringing up Chucky. Those were I watched some of those. I don't know that I've seen any of them like sat down and seen them all the way through, but I've seen some. And those were pretty scary to me. I was a lot younger when those came out, so like maybe that's what it was. He liked the earlier ones, but the latest one was not so bad. Jeff Ellie says, my daughter is still terrified of the sister in Pet Cemetery. The kids made me turn that movie off when she came running out the door. Oh, wow. Amazing. Derek Dixon says, it sounds like the new Borat film will be scary for Republicans. That's funny. We saw a commercial for that on TV, and I started laughing at it. And I started laughing at like the trailer or whatever. And my daughter was like, what are you laughing at, Daddy? Why is that funny? I was like, it's really hard to explain. It's just I was like, it's just one of those things that grown-ups think is funny, but kids probably don't. I didn't know like how to explain like what's Borat to her. Yeah. Tab Hunter said there's a Michael Landon is in a made-for-TV movie called The Loneliest Runner. Is that a running horror movie? That's interesting. Cause like if like can you imagine like it's like a reverse horror movie where like there's someone like Jason that like running around trying to like kill people, but it turns out these are all people that got together for a running camp and he can't catch any of them. That'd be pretty funny. I mean, it would be a short movie. It'd be pretty dull, but I don't know. I think that'd be an interesting twist around it. Funny. Jeff Alley says Alien was a very scary movie, legit great slasher film. Another one that I've not, I mean, I don't know. I guess I've just not seen movies. I've seen like a handful of movies here and there. I've never been a huge movies person, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've seen, I saw Predator like really late. I saw Predator in the Netflix DVD era, you know, when you got a DVD and then you mailed it back. That's when I saw Predator for the first time. Like the first one, not like Predator versus, but you know what movie my in-laws took me to? My brother-in-law took me to Cowboys versus Aliens with Daniel Craig. That was really a weird movie. I don't get it. I still don't understand the movie, but Cowboy versus Aliens was really, really weird. And it's got Daniel Craig in it, and I was like, why is James Bond here? I just had a really hard time like removing him from the role of Bond at the time. Danny J says, you never saw Alien? Danny J has unsubscribed and GlueTab deactivated. I mean, I'll have to go see it. I mean, I've seen parts of them, but like I've just never sat down to see a movie. I think it's just that like I don't like sitting down for a movie just seems like a big commitment. I certainly sit down and like consume media for, you know, hours at a time, but like I don't like to like a movie seems like a long time. I don't know. Maybe it just feels like more like I usually have the TV on while I'm doing something. I've always been that way. I like doing like I have like homework. I do homework while watching TV. That's not very productive. It's a big waste of time. You should just turn the TV off and do homework. But I would do that, and then I just always have had the TV on as background noise. But then like when you put a movie on, I feel like you have to pay attention to it, and so I'm like, oh, I can't sit down and stop doing everything else that I'm doing for 2 hours. So I don't know. Jennifer Herring says, when the apocalypse comes, the zombies won't catch us if they're the slow kind. But I did see the movie. What's the one where the zombies are super fast? They have like superhuman strength and they can run like super fast. Which one is that one? Where they climbed over the wall, like in Jerusalem, they had walled off the city in Israel, and then like the zombies like climbed over it. That one. They were super fast. I don't think any of us can outrun. Maybe Seth can run those zombies, but I certainly couldn't. Zealand, was it? Zombieland? No, that was a comedy. That was with like Woody Harrelson and the guy from what was it? It's the movie about Facebook. That's not what it was called. I don't remember that, but that was an old movie. But that movie, Jesse Eisenberg, that was Zombieland, right? That was a funny movie. I saw that one. That one I really liked. Oh, you know what else one I really liked? What was it? The guy, Shaun of the Dead. That was a movie that I thought was awesome. I really liked that one. But that was a comedy. I guess horror. Was it really a horror movie? It was just like a kind of a horror movie, but it was a comedy. I really liked that one. That one was super funny. All right, Daniel M's giving us some great scary movie streaming. Hereditary, The Descent, The Invitation, The Wailing, and Train to Busan. I've heard of Train to Busan, but the others I've not heard of. I'm like definitely out of my element when we're talking scary movies here. Skies has a question. Says, "Oh, look at that. What does that say? Elmo running for something." How long do you think the Nike Peg 37 lasts? I think you could take that shoe to 350, 400 miles because it's got all that React midsole, and the rubber tread is a little bit thicker, I feel like, than a normal Pegasus. So I feel like they really built that one for long lasting, for longevity. Jeff Elliott says 28 Days Later had Fast Zombies. Did it? I did see that one. Because, wait, was it 28 Days or was it 20 Days Later? That was a sequel, right? Or no? Or was it just... Because there was a sequel to that movie. Like they had to wall off England, right? Or something like that. They just like gave up. They were like, forget England. It's a zombie land. And then, but we can keep everything there because it's an island. Isn't that what happened in that movie? Something like that, I thought. I don't know. Daniel M said Train to Busan is a Korean zombie movie. That's why I remember it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know Korean people like scary movies. But yeah. Philip Bourne says, talking about glutes, I use some running shoe boxes and a side table to make a standing desk, which I now use for Zoom calls, etc. I feel like that makes a great difference at the end of the day. Oh. Wait, running shoe box and a side table to make a standing desk? Oh, okay. Cool. Awesome. Daniel says 28 weeks later is the sequel. I did not say the sequel. Jeff Elliott also coming in with the sequel. I saw the first one. The first one I thought was a pretty cool idea. I think maybe it would be worth rewatching given, or maybe it's not worth rewatching given the current state of affairs. I don't know. Danny J says, oh, here's a good one. Zombie apocalypse with moderately fast zombies. They can move at like 9 minutes a mile. What shoes are you wearing? That's funny. That's really funny. Scotty B says, a vote for scary movies, Poltergeist. Saw it way too young. I think that I've never seen that one. I think that one would have just driven me bananas. Like, I don't think I could have handled that. I was really bad with the scary movies. Oh, yeah, here we go. Max von Ottoman 2. That's quite a username. It says World War Z. That was the one with the fast zombies. Yeah. Was Brad Pitt in that one? I don't remember. Chris Yao says Alive is a Korean zombie movie on Netflix now. A guy is trapped in his apartment with dwindling resources as he watches zombie infection unfold in the streets below. Wow. That seems like I mean, is it like can't watch that now? Is it too soon to watch that now? Or I don't know. Jeff Elliott says the Jerusalem zombie scene was 28 Days Later. Wasn't it also in World War Z? That wasn't in it? Which one was the one where it was like they set up a council and like it was like if one person thought it was a good idea, they had to like investigate it further, and the potential for a zombie apocalypse was one of those ideas. So that's why Israel was like ready for it. What movie was that? I don't know. Daniel says, got it. Working title for the scary running movie, 28 Miles Later. Or like 26 Miles of Death. I think that'd be kind of fun. JC says all these movies and no Exorcist mention. Though today I think it's pretty funny. Yeah. Those, all that whole genre, again, I stayed very far away from because I was just like, that whole like spiritual aspect of it really terrified me. Kind of connected to like the cemetery thing. I don't know. I just, I don't know. It just really, really got to me, I think. Tom Cruise was in World War Z. Max von Ottoman 2 says, running scared movie, Marathon Man, Hoffman, scary dental scenes in 1976. I don't know if I've seen that one. It sounds familiar. I don't know. Martha says, speaking of 28 miles, did you guys hear about the virtual London marathon runner who got lost and ran 49 miles? That is amazing. That is so cool. Oh man. Yeah. Jody says, love The Shining. Jeff Elliott said, love The Shining. That is a horror movie, isn't it? Yeah, I get. Yeah, it is, with like the red rum and then like that waterfall, or like that, like when the hallways flood. Here's the thing. I saw like the Simpsons spoof of that movie before I saw the movie. So like watching the movie, I was watching it, I'm like, oh, this is like a live action version of that Simpsons episode. Like all work and no play make Homer something something. Right? So like that's what I was thinking the entire time I saw that movie. So that kind of ruined it for me. So like I didn't think it was really that scary. But I do remember I was watching that movie in the winter and I was just like, I'm so cold. I'm so cold. Yeah. But yeah. All right. I think I'm gonna go and watch. I think I'm gonna try and find, and I'll put some of these on, um, like in the background. Because I mean, do I really need to like? We'll see. I think it'll be better. I think me watching or like half watching like zombie movies. I do like zombie movies or like horror movies is probably going to be better. I'm thinking here's like a commentary. Probably going to be better for my like mental health or state than like the news that I usually just turn on in the morning. So I think I might do that. I'm going to try that tomorrow, 4:30 in the morning, horror movies. That's what I'm going to do. I'll let you guys know how it goes. All right. That's all I got for today, everybody. I think that's a good time to leave it. Oh, we've got a question. So let's do the question, then we'll take it out. Take off from here. It says, is the Hyperion tempo a good shoe choice for working on moving to 5K from 2 mile and working on getting faster? Let's see. Hyperion tempo, a good shoe choice for working on moving from 5K to 5K from the 2 mile and working on getting faster. I think that there's kind of two things that are going on there. And I would say that the Hyperion tempo is a good shoe for running fast 5Ks for sure. And it's a good day for like some of the workouts that you'd have there. But I think the other thing to think about, if you're running like 2 miles or like racing the 2 mile, you're probably going to want to focus more on just longer, easy runs and a lot of longer, easy runs. So the Hyperion tempo isn't great for long, easy. Not for me. It hasn't been that way. But for your speed workouts, for your racing, for running fast 5Ks, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I do like it for that. All right. Jody says, tomorrow's Kofuzi stream will be from the corner where I am shaking in the corner after watching the movies. It's certainly possible. If all of a sudden you see that like I got bags under my eyes and I'm not sleeping, it's because the scary movies have gotten to me. So, but we'll see. It'll be a fun little experiment. We'll see how it goes. Tomorrow's video is going to be about, I think I figured out a way to really test the accuracy of this heart rate monitor. So we'll see if I can tease some additional data out of it, kind of like a hacky kind of workaround kind of way. And then we'll do another live stream, 3 p.m. Maybe we'll talk some more about scary movies. Maybe we won't, but it'll be happy hour. So I'll have a drink, probably beer, but you guys are welcome to join with something alcoholic or no. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. And thanks for tuning in.